Hi! In this video, we're going to have a look at CheckCentral's Dropsuite integration. This integration will automatically create checks for protected accounts in your Dropsuite environment and then regularly poll Dropsuite for recent backup activities. We'll step through the configuration steps necessary to get started. First, we'll head to the Direct Integrations page, located under the Services menu. We'll click the Add Direct Integration button. We'll click Dropsuite from the list of available integrations. This will present us with the new Direct Integration wizard. The first thing we need to do is name our direct integration. In this example, we'll just stick with the default name. Next, we'll need to switch over to our Dropsuite console to copy some values we'll need. In the Dropsuite console, expand the Settings section, then click on API Settings. From this page, we'll need to copy the following values: API URL, reseller token, and authentication token. We'll now switch back to CheckCentral and continue there. Back in CheckCentral, we'll paste in the API URL, reseller token, and authentication token we copied from the Dropsuite console. We'll click Next to continue. We're presented with the Group Assignment page. This is where we'll set which groups our checks will be assigned to. If we have a look at the default check group section, we'll see that by default, CheckCentral will use the organization name as the primary mapping field. CheckCentral can use this value to assign checks to specific check groups. Next, we can choose whether to assign all checks that are created to a single group, or we can create new CheckCentral groups based on the organization name value. If the organization value matches an existing group, checks will be assigned to that existing group. In this example, we'll choose the second option. Underneath the default check group section, there's a section called Customize Group Assignment. This allows us to manually map organizations in Dropsuite to CheckCentral groups. You can also click on the Auto Match Groups button to have CheckCentral attempt to automatically map those organizations to groups. We'll click on the Save and Create Check Definition button to continue with our setup. The check definition setup allows us to choose exactly what protected accounts we're having CheckCentral monitor, how those checks are identified, and how we should be notified when there are issues. We'll start by setting up our matching rules. By default, CheckCentral will create checks for all protected accounts it discovers. You can create rules to only include specific accounts if needed, but in this example, we'll create checks for all accounts. We'll click Next to continue. We're presented with the check identification page. This allows us to configure how we want our checks named and what labels to apply. We'll start with the check name template. By default, the checks will be named based on dynamic values pulled from the Dropsuite integration. In this case, the domain account and type being backed up. This can be edited if needed, but we'll stick with the default settings here for this example. Next, we can set what label will be applied to the check. By default, the label will be set to the integration name. This can be changed if needed, but we'll stick with the default for this as well. The check group section allows us to override the group mappings we set up during the previous step, but in this example, we don't need to make any changes. The Schedule Override section allows us to manually specify how often CheckCentral should be expecting the protected accounts to be backed up. By default, CheckCentral will use information from Dropsuite to determine this schedule. We'll stick with that default, and we'll click Next to continue. The Notifications page lets us configure how we want to be notified when there are issues. The Personal Notification section allows us to receive email alerts, text messages, push notifications via the CheckCentral mobile application, as well as several other options. If you've configured other notification services or ticketing systems, those can be selected here as well. Additional options to further refine when alerts are sent are also available, but for our example, we'll stick with the defaults. We'll click Next to continue. The final page shows us a summary of what checks will be created, and we can see what the names of our checks will look like, as well as what label will be assigned. Since everything looks good, we'll go ahead and click on the Save button. We'll be taken to the Integration Overview page. From here, we can see a list of protected accounts that have been discovered by our integration and view the resulting checks. This integration will now update data on a regular schedule. We've now completed configuring our Dropsuite integration in CheckCentral. CheckCentral will automatically create checks for any new protected accounts it discovers from our Dropsuite environment and update those regularly. As always, CheckCentral will keep an eye on things and let us know if there are any issues.